There's nothing more freeing than the realization that you don't know. The don't know mind. There's nothing more freeing than that. In this moment, this awareness that you don't know, you're fully present in this moment. So in all spiritual traditions, there's something about this don't know mind. A Christian mystic called it the cloud of unknowing. It's a great mystery. This is our life, and what we are is an eternal mystery. We don't really know it. The problem is we think we do. We're always trying to know with our mind. We're always trying to figure it out, to think that we know. But we don't. And that's the frustration that we have when we think we know, or we think we should know. We're frustrated because we think we can get to this point of enlightenment where we know. But enlightenment is the realization that we don't know. The freedom of not knowing. And the pure presence and pure being. That is our knowing. It's not a mental knowing. It's our being itself. Something that we can never know with our mind. And so on this event, this Saturday, coming Saturday, December 23rd, I would like to help you experience this freedom and bliss of not knowing. So one of the ways we can do this is you may have some things that you absolutely believe must be true, that this is true. This is something that I know. For instance, I know that I exist. I am. I know that this is true. Is it really? Thich Nhat Hanh had another way of approaching this. He gave us a mantra, am I sure? Am I absolutely sure? Byron Katie has a similar way of phrasing it. Is this true? Is this absolutely true? And if we're honest and we look at it, we always find, no, I am not absolutely sure. At first we think we do. Our mind is conditioned to believe that it does know these things, like I exist, or the world exists. I am. But if we look at this carefully, that surety, that knowing falls apart. What is this I that exists? What is existence? It all evaporates in clear seeing and clear looking. And as long as we think we know anything, we cannot be fully present to what is, because we're dragging the past with us, this experience of I know, this experience of knowing, of being sure, is the past. It's a thought, and a thought can never be exactly in this present moment. It's in the past. It's too slow. Thoughts take time from beginning to end. It may be fast, but it's still taking time. Presence is now, this moment. It doesn't take any time for presence. Presence is beyond time. Time doesn't exist in presence. This is eternal now. Eternal is beyond, it's not time, it's beyond time. Do we know what time is? No. So all truly awakened beings realize that they know nothing, that all their knowing, their mental knowing, is an illusion, is a dream. None of it is true. It has relative truth in the dream. One knowing is a little bit truer in the dream, relatively truer than another knowing. But in terms of presence and absolute truth, it's irrelevant whether one knowing is more than another knowing. None of them are true. Neither are true. We're not sure. We don't know. That's the don't know mind. That's the freedom of the don't know mind, which is simple honesty, really. It's just being honest. We really don't know. And clearly looking to see that that's true. To take all our surety and let it go. These people are good. These people are bad. Am I sure? Do I really know? No. You can take this from someone that you dislike, intensely dislike, maybe even hate. What is it that you hate about them? It's your thoughts. It's your knowing. It's your illusion that you know what they are. Are they even a person? Are they even a human? Is there anything that you can say for sure that you know about them? If you're honest, you will see that there's nothing. And in that not knowing, you love them. You can't help it. It's natural. Your dislike, even hatred of them, is only your illusion that you know what they are. Your illusion of knowing. You don't really know. You don't know anything. And in that not knowing mind, there's love. Always, for everything. Because when you don't know, you see things as they really are. And this is our goal of spiritual practice. Our goal of awakening is to see truth, to see things as they really are. It's not a mental knowing. It's not an accumulation of spiritual knowledge that will give us this experience of reality, of truth. It's letting go of everything that is not true, of all the illusions that have piled up in us. Krishnamurti had a wonderful teaching. He said that when a child first encounters a tree, he really encounters the tree. He really experiences the tree. As soon as he learns the word tree, just that, he can no longer see the tree. And imagine if he went on to school and studied this tree and got a PhD in this particular tree. He would be so far removed from the reality of that tree that he couldn't see it at all. It would be completely invisible to him. All he could see is his knowing. And he'd miss the reality of the tree. The child, without knowing anything, can see the reality of the tree. And the child sees with the eyes of true seeing, of awe, of the incredible reality of this thing that we call a tree. But it's not a tree. There's no way that you can describe what this is. It's real. It's life. It's reality. It's truth. And no words can help us get there. They can only take away our direct experience of it. And that's what they've done. But we don't have to see things in this way. We don't have to experience things in this way. We can experience things through the eyes of not knowing, through the freedom of not knowing, through the clarity of not knowing, to see things as they really, really are. And this is wonderful. I learned this many years ago from a a brilliant Zen master, Sensanim. He was a Korean Zen master, and he often taught what he called the don't know mind. And I used to take this walking in the woods near my house, and I would look at a rock or a stream, and I would just keep repeating, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is, until all my knowing about this was erased from my mind, that I'd let it all go. And suddenly the rock would just come to life in this extraordinary way. It was vividly alive and real. And it wasn't before, when I thought, that's a rock. And the same with the stream, and the same with trees, same with water, same with everything. So that was a wonderful practice for me, because I had the direct experience of seeing like that young child, the beginner's mind, before knowing anything. And it's a wonderful way to see. You have nothing but love, awe at the miracle of what you're seeing. Because it is this. When we know something, we just increasingly limit our awareness of what really is, until it becomes nothing like it really is, and all we are aware of are thoughts. And this is what we've done all our life with all our education and learning. We've moved it down from the first time we have a word for it. That's already limiting us. And then it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, until the reality of what we're seeing has completely disappeared. And all we see are our thoughts. All we see is our knowing. So this is a way of opening that back up, so we can really see things as they are, of letting go of the accumulated illusion and ignorance. Really, in spiritual terms, we call all this knowledge ignorance, because it's separating us from what really is. If we want to see what really is, we can have no knowing. Just the reality of things as they are, the direct experience of things as they are. More than even the physical sensations and senses of this virtual reality headset. We can see more than that when we let go. Because we can let go of this too, let go of our senses, our physical senses of seeing and hearing. And see and hear in a much deeper way. It's just a question of undoing, unknowing, letting go of the illusion. What is samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, the awakening beyond the dream? The dream disappears. The whole dream just vanishes. Body, mind, thought, world, it all vanishes in that. And that's clear seeing. From there, when the dream reappears, when we recreate the dream through this virtual reality headset and our thoughts, we realize that it's a dream, because we've experienced what it's like to not be dreaming. And the don't know mind is a way of doing this. So if you could, I find that I like these gatherings to be a sharing, and to have people's questions come to me, presented in the group. But sometimes people are a little shy. They would rather do this anonymously. It's like, they're in a group, it's new to them, and they're a little bit, at first, a little nervous about expressing. So some people do, but some people don't. So I want to offer an opportunity for people, if they are a little bit reluctant to do this, to ask questions privately to me through email, or you can also do it during the Zoom meeting privately in chat. You can just chat directly to me, and I'll look at those questions there. Or you can write to me ahead of time to email me through this website, and ask questions there, and I'll bring those questions and answer them in the event, in the meeting. because I feel it's important to do this. On Monday, we do a silent transmission, and it's really just that, some satsang, some teaching in the silent transmission. It's a place for that, and it's fine that people don't ask questions at the end of it. I would like it if they did, but they don't. They're in a place of peace. They don't really have questions at that point, and that's fine. That's good. But in this state, I would like to have people ask questions, because there's a way of coming from this place of freedom and not knowing. Is one way to teach from this, which is useful and valuable, but it's also good when the sense of suffering in a self meets that place, that junction where they meet. So a question that comes from a sense of a personal self, which most people still experience, that comes from there and meets the non-self, meets the place of freedom from that. It's a powerful teaching when that happens. But it can't happen without your questions, without coming from that place. So whether you ask them privately to me and I can bring them to the meeting, or you ask during the meeting, either way is good. But I think this can really help. And if you bring, in this case, things that you believe you do know, things that you feel very strongly that you do know. One, if you have any suffering, there is clearly a sense of knowing and a sense of a person that suffers. Because suffering can only exist when there's a sense of a separate self, a separate person who suffers. When that's gone, suffering is gone. Suffering cannot exist without the sense of a separate self. And this is very clear and a wonderful teaching within the dream, because if we follow our suffering back to its source, we find this sense of a separate self. And as soon as we see it, it dissolves, and so does the suffering. It's like you cannot have a problem without a thought. Can a problem exist without a thought about it? No. Of course not. There are no problems. They're just thoughts. Thoughts are what create the problems. If we follow any problem back to its source, we will find a thought, and we will find the sense of a separate self. Because it can't exist without that. And once we find it, we're free. So in this gift of the don't know mind, in this freedom of the don't know mind, you will see this. This is part of Byron Katie's teaching too. She basically takes a thought that's creating a lot of suffering in somebody's life and helps them see that it's just a thought and it's not true. If something's true, it has to always be true. It has to undeniably be true. And if you look at any thought long enough, you will see that that's not true. Am I sure? You will see that you never are. Really, at first you think you are. And just as she walks through people, at first they completely believe that their thought is absolutely true. And then little by little, they realize that it's not. And eventually they let it go. And with it goes the suffering. With it goes the problem. So this is something we can do in this event too, with these thoughts. I mean, there's very fundamental thoughts that we believe in, such as I exist. But even that, if we look deeply enough, we'll see that we don't know what this I really is. At first we think we do. It's layer upon layer of experiences and thoughts and all this stuff that's going on in our life from the moment we were born, telling us that we are a separate person. But if we really look, do self-inquiry seriously, we see that we can't find this I, this self. So how can that exist? And yet somehow existence exists, being exists, without this self to be, just pure essence, pure presence, pure being does seem to exist. Can we prove it? No, we don't need to. That's just another thought. It just is. But this sense of a separate self doesn't seem to be. We cannot really find it. So even our most fundamental beliefs, our fundamental things that we know are absolutely true, are not. And this is freedom. It's not a problem. We may be afraid because these thoughts are so fundamental to us and we believe they are true and we have for so long that we're afraid, how can life exist if this thought isn't true? Well, find out. Find out. You'll see that as these thoughts are left, it's beautiful to watch Byron Katie at work because you can see one person after another when they let go of the thoughts. They don't disappear. They're just happier. Their life is just better. That's all that happens. Truth only gives you eventually this unchanging bliss. Illusion is where the problems are. Illusion is where the suffering is. Illusion is where the fear is. We actually don't have anything real to fear. We only fear illusion. We only fear a dream. So you'll see that this not knowing, this realization that we don't know, and that our thoughts are not true, is so incredibly liberating. To live in this world without that. I mean, we think like, how can I do it? How can I live in this world if I don't believe my thoughts? Very, very well is the answer, but you have to experience that for yourself. And step by step you do. Little by little you see. And then eventually you realize you don't have to hold on to any thought. Since they're not true, you just don't anymore. You use thoughts as a tool, but you're not used by them. They don't control your life anymore. You realize they're just a tool for you to use, enjoy, but not to believe, not to think that they represent truth. They don't. They're not truth and they don't represent truth. They're just a tool for us to use in this dream, a very useful tool, as long as we don't believe them. So I hope you'll join me and others on this coming Saturday, December 23rd, from noon to 2 p.m. Pacific time. And you can get all the information and the Zoom link on the website. Thank you, my friend. I look forward to being with you.